There's no
snapping
way.
their necks and dropping them to the floor before moving on to their next
I'll get a
victim.
low diff.
There must be dozens of them, even as a guard tries to keep their eyes on one instance, preventing it from moving. Another appears
Gotcha, bitch.
behind them.
Later, in the void.
What's going on, everyone? It's your boy Savvy, and welcome back to the Savvy Show. And in today's episode, I'm hyped because I think Dr. Bob's in his bag this week. This looks pretty juicy, guys. This is SCP-173. You already know who this is. The sculpture is multiplying. Bro, what? Yo, when I first heard that, it reminded me back when I watched the origins of SCP-173, and there was like multiple sculptures it looked like, or something along the lines of that, or like they were like creating the sculpture. So I'm assuming, oh, maybe there's just more sculptures coming out of nowhere, but it specifically said it's multiplying. So it's multiplying the sculpture they have at the foundation. Don't know how this is going to happen, but I'm sure it's going to be super creative. Dr. Bob's delivering. So it's pretty much a 99% chance that this is going to be a banger, guys. So with that being said, if you guys are excited for this reaction and you enjoyed along the way, please remember to smash that like button for me, guys, and also hit that sub button. Join the family, because I'm telling you, if you're not already subbed to the channel, you're doing yourself a disservice. I make SCP content all the time, and if you do enjoy my reaction style, this is the perfect place to be to get your fix of SCP heat. You won't regret it. No one else is doing it like me. And also remember, smash that bell so you can stay plugged for each and every upload, because YouTube won't just notify you if you're just subbed. So it behooves you to stay tuned that way as well. So with that all out the way, there's nothing left to be said, man. Let's get this show started. Alrighty, SCP-173 is multiplying. Let's see what we're getting ourselves into.
A group of 3 Class D personnel approach the locked containment chamber. One of them is carrying a bucket and mop, but all 3 of them look jumpy and hesitant to move forward.
The other one looks hella worried. Eyes on a swivel and everything. What does this guy do, bro? Like, what does he know that these two don't?
An SCP Foundation guard walking behind them gives one of them a push forward with the barrel of his gun, and they continue stepping towards the cell door.
This guy's still
All 3 of them nervously stare at the heavy locked metal door.
Okay.
Behind it, the sound of stone scraping against the metal can be heard coming from inside. A second guard standing next to the door asks the 3 if they are ready. They don't answer, and the guard starts to laugh. They never are. The guard loudly announces that special containment procedures are beginning now. You know the rules. 2 maintain eye contact at all times while the other cleans.
Dang.
If you have to blink, do it 1 eye at a time, and announce before you close even 1 eye so everyone knows. The guard turns and starts to enter a code into the keypad next to the door.
So the dude in the middle, that D-class guy that was like, you know, looking everywhere, he probably already did this before and he knew how scary it is.
Each of the D-classes take a couple hard, last blinks, taking the last opportunity they have to shut both of their eyes at the same time before they begin. With a loud hiss, the sealed chamber door unseals. "All right, eyes up," the guard commands. The door opens to reveal a small, dimly lit chamber. There are no furnishings, and much of the metal floor and walls are covered in a reddish-brown substance.
Oh my god.
And there in the corner is what they've heard stories and rumors about. The thing that has given them nightmares ever since they learned that they would have to enter its containment chamber. SCP-173. Or, as most of the staff in the SCP Foundation call it, the sculpture. It looks so unassuming in person.
First
Just
SCP.
a crude concrete figure with a stupid-looking spray-painted face, standing motionless in the corner. The 3 D-classes get another push from the guard behind them, and they enter the chamber. The 2 assigned to watch SCP-173 assume their position in the middle of the room.
Don't drop the
their
ball.
eyes locked on the sculpture as the other starts cleaning the foul substance off the floor and walls. It smells terrible, like a mix of old blood and human waste.
Ew.
The 2 assigned to watch
poop?
173 pay no attention to the one cleaning, though. They follow protocol to a T, maintaining their vigil and announcing each time they are going to blink, even if it is only 1 eye.
What if you get like a twitch or something, you know? Like, or like a fly comes out of nowhere. Dang. Oh well.
The third one continues cleaning, trying his best to keep his own eyes locked on the sculpture as he attempts to mop around it without getting too close. D-5933 does his job and doesn't break eye contact with SCP-173. Even though it hasn't moved, he can feel the presence of the sculpture, something within it, just waiting for him to slip up, to let his eyes avert for just 1 split second.
His eyes getting
That's
red.
all it takes. You stop looking for even an instant, and it's all over. With all of the fear coursing through his veins,
tweaking.
it's hard to maintain focus.
What's wrong with
All
him?
he can think about is how dry his eyes feel, and blinking them 1 at a time never seems to be enough. He wants so badly to shut his eyes, to end their itchy, dry feeling. but he can't.
They should switch off. Like the guy that's sweeping right now, he shouldn't be looking that tough. He should be having his eyes a little bit closed, just like peeking, just to make sure things are good, so he can save his like eye so it won't get red. And then when he's getting tired, they should just switch out and he could just continue sweeping. It'll just be easier. I mean, the other dude would be kind of fucked too if he needs to switch, but you know, to each their own. But that would be an easier way to go about it.
Even with another watcher, it's too risky. There's suddenly a loud crack, but D5933 doesn't move his eyes away from 173. He can see in his periphery that the other D-Class dropped his broom and instinctively looked down at it. Luckily for him, there were others watching. D5933
Yo, what the
shifts
hell
in place.
happened? What the hell happened? What was the cracking sound? Did the black dude die? Hold up.
Risky. There's suddenly a loud crack,
Yeah, the dude next to him probably got low diff. What the hell?
but D5933 doesn't move his eyes away from 173. He can see in his periphery that the other D-Class dropped his broom and instinctively looked down at it.
Oh my god.
Luckily for him, there were others watching.
Who
D5933
wasn't
shifts
watching
in
him?
place, taking a step back and bumps into something. He can't look at what it is, but he reaches behind him and feels that it's the other D-Class watcher. But wait a minute.
Oh.
Why is he facing the other way? What are you doing? What's going on? He asks.
Is he
his
dead?
eyes never leaving SCP-173. What are you talking about? The other D-Class asks back. You're facing the wrong way. I'm facing the wrong way. You're facing the wrong way. We're supposed to be watching 173. What are you looking at? I am looking at 173. What are you looking at? D5933 doesn't know what's going on and starts to panic.
Bro.
The one cleaning is focused on his task,
Why is he not
trying as
saying
hard as he
anything?
can to quickly mop up an especially dirty corner of the cell. It's the worst sound D5933 could have heard. Achoo!
Oh my
The
god.
scene is just inches behind his head, followed by the sound of bones being cracked, a
Dunzo.
scream that was cut off too short, and then a sick thud as a body dropped to the floor.
That's what I'm saying. What if you have a Twitch or C's or something just gonna come out of nowhere? Bro, it's OV! And there's two of them now.
D5933 doesn't even have a chance to scream before a pair of concrete hands grab his neck and his own head is twisted around to see another identical-looking sculpture staring back at him.
Bro! What is
Ladies and
going
gentlemen
on?
of the O5 Council, we have a problem.
Who's you? Where's
The
Dr.
senior
Bob?
researcher is giving a presentation to a group who remain largely in the shadows, obscuring both their identities as well as their reactions to his horrendous news.
Let's see it.
SCP-173, through means which we have not yet been able to determine, has multiplied. There's no reaction from any of the
Okay.
13 figures seated
Tell us
around
how.
the large curved table. The researcher in charge of SCP-173 waits for a response, anything at all. But after receiving none, he clears his throat and continues. We gave each of the new instances their own designation, SCP-173-1 and SCP-173-2. Two of the D-Class on observation duty during their regular cleaning of 173's cell were killed. The third was able to keep them both in his line of sight until they could be recontained and moved into separate cells. Again, no reaction from
That's
the shadows.
impressive.
But as you know, this wasn't the end of it. At some point, the instances of SCP-173 multiplied again,
Oh, God.
each splitting to form yet another instance. SCP-173-1 through 4 are all contained separately.
If there's a whole army of these dudes, you guys are donezo. You better just leave the site that you're at right now and let them take over. Because there's no way you guys are going to contain this.
We don't know if or when another split will occur. The senior researcher waits, but no one on the O5 Council speaks or moves until the one seated in the very middle slides a piece of paper across the table in front of him. The senior researcher looks confused. He looks to the mobile task force guard stationed near the door, but he too remains expressionless, eyes locked straight ahead. The researcher, unsure of what else to do, steps away from the lectern and walks towards the table. He picks up the piece of paper and reads it. Object class, upgrade from Euclid to Keter.
Uh-oh.
Orders, continue observation. The senior researcher nods in agreement,
Wow, okay.
thanks the O5 Council for their time, and leaves the room.
I'm surprised they only upgraded him, or I should say them, to Keter now. They're multiplying at an aggressive rate. You're just gonna, I don't know. We shall see what will happen.
Lights flash and siren blare in the halls of Site 19. It's a containment breach. Facility staff, researchers,
Like I
and
figured.
site guards all run down the hall, screaming, trying desperately to get away.
Yo.
There's no hope for any of them, though. In a flash,
over.
SCP-173 instances appear behind them,
There's no
snapping
way.
their necks and dropping them to the floor before moving on to their next
I'll get a
victim.
low diff.
There must be dozens of them, even as a guard tries to keep their eyes on one instance, preventing it from moving. Another appears
Gotcha, bitch.
behind them. The staff of Site-19 flee for their lives,
Yo,
screaming
get
for
'em.
someone, anyone to help them. The senior researcher presses pause on the video. The terrified face of the senior researcher who gave the last presentation is frozen on the screen. An instance of SCP-173 is directly behind them, his hands wrapped around his neck in the split second before his life was snuffed out.
Damn.
The new researcher giving the presentation looks considerably more
Oh my
frazzled
God.
than his predecessor.
Looks like he
He
hasn't had
explains
sleep
to
for
the
a week.
O5 Council that following this horrific containment breach at Site-19, at least 61 instances of SCP-173 are now unaccounted for.
61.
It is still unknown how they are replicating, but worryingly, there is evidence that the process may be speeding up. He presses play on a new clip from the security footage, which shows what appears to be multiple instances of 173 working in tandem, some
Oh
using their
my
bodies to
God.
block exits, others creating choke points in the facility corridors.
Bro.
We have theorized that SCP-173, as we
Holy
are
shit.
now referring to the collective instances, may possess a form of hive intelligence. It also appears that this intelligence scales with the number of instances that are nearby. This allowed them to implement tactics that thwarted our containment efforts, as they used instances to block our containment teams from being able to pursue others. What you have in front of you is a proposal for revised special containment procedures. What I recommend may sound drastic, but it's what I truly believe is the only way to contain this threat.
Let's hear it.
Each of the O5 council members picks up the folder in front of them, bringing it into the shadows that obscure them.
Because before I read this, or before I hear what he has to say, I legit still stand with what I said earlier. Evacuate the site. I wouldn't even try to contain it. I would try to destroy it. Just nuke the site, bro. Like, just nuke it. Or just, like, evacuate it and, like, seal it so they won't come out. Because, I mean, I'm sure you guys will have enough equipment to seal an area where, like, they can't, like, destroy it. But that's what I think.
What I propose is that SCP-173 instances no longer be kept in containment cells, but instead placed inside of form-fitting metal containers. We can then use SCP-120 to transport the instances to the Foundation site on the lunar surface. The facility will have to be abandoned, of course. It's too risky to maintain a presence there, but each of the instances will be fitted with a tracking collar to ensure that we will be able to detect if any of them are somehow able to escape.
Oh, wow.
The senior researcher waits.
That's kind of
After
smart.
a time, a paper is once again slid across the table. He approaches and picks it up. He sees that it is the same folder containing the revised Special Containment Procedures proposal. He opens it to find that it has been stamped, approved. Breaking news flashes
go.
across the screen. A worried-looking reporter appears as though she didn't have time to do her hair or makeup before rushing on air to deliver this special
Jesus.
report. She explains that civilian deaths across North America are now estimated to be more than 500,000 people in the
Holy.
last 48 hours.
What the heck?
As these still unidentified creatures continue their deadly rampage across the continent.
How are you going to capture them now?
It is unknown how many of them there may be, but the number of sightings has led some to estimate that there may be hundreds, if not thousands, or even tens of thousands
Jesus!
of these living, neck-snapping sculptures. The reporter explains that rumors are circulating that the creature can be stopped by maintaining eye contact with it, but that this has yet to be confirmed. There is still no official word from the White House or from any members of Congress.
Bro, how much
Their
are there
current
now?
location and status are unknown, following reports that most of Washington, D.C. was overrun by the creatures
Probably
earlier
like in
that
the
day.
hundreds at least.
The reporter suddenly stops speaking, and a terrified look comes over her face.
One came
Her
in.
eyes locked on something just off screen. The camera pans over to show an instance of SCP-173 standing
my
over a dead
God.
cameraman. There's a scream, and the camera goes back to the reporter, who now lies dead on her desk,
Yo.
her head twisted 180 degrees, before there's another sound of bones breaking, and the feed goes dead.
Jesus, they should have sealed these guys away when they
A
had the
woman
chance.
in an SCP researcher coat sits at a computer terminal in a secure bunker,
Who's
a
that?
large, jeweled medallion around her neck. Personal log of Dr. Bright. From the
Wow.
little news I've been able to gather, it sounds like SCP-173 has besieged and destroyed 4 Foundation facilities
Dr.
pretty
Bright
much
made a cameo.
simultaneously in the last 24 hours. Each instance shows the same strength as the original, and thousands of them working together are capable of ripping open concrete bunkers and compromising foot-thick steel doors. I alone have been killed 37 times in the last week.
Oh my
They can smell
God.
me, somehow, regardless of what body I'm in. The majority decision of the remaining O5s is that this is an XK-class end-of-the-world scenario unfolding.
Oh, now they want to
They're
see
going
that.
to deal with the problem, or else the Russians are. They're evacuating this base, which means there won't be a single Foundation scientist anywhere in the New World.
I said that the first time this happened. God. For the O5 Council not to come up with that conclusion, they're goofy for that.
They say they're going to try to evacuate the surviving civilians, but I doubt it. There can't be more than a couple hundred people in all of North America anyway. I managed to make it down to a secure bunker, but who knows how long it will be until they're able to get in.
Oh.
I don't think there's any chance I can get out either. I'm running out of food, and I'm not sure which will get me first. Hunger, the sculptures, or what I know the O5s will inevitably do. Dr. Bright closes the computer terminal and sits back in her chair. She looks up at the ceiling of the bunker where the sound of concrete scratching against metal can be heard through the thick walls. A sullen and tired-looking researcher steps out of a room in the makeshift foundation site that has been established just outside of Amsterdam in the Netherlands.
Okay.
He's holding a piece of paper and closes the door behind him, which has had O5 Council authorized entry only hastily painted on the outside.
The hell?
A small group of Foundation staff are waiting for him. They've gathered to hear what the overseers have decided to do in the face of this world-ending disaster.
Let's hear it.
The researcher looks around at his colleagues' faces, and as they make eye contact, any hope they had is quickly replaced by the bad news they know is coming. He begins to read.
Oh.
Revised Special Containment Procedures. Containment Zone X1, formerly North and South America, is to be denied access. Following saturation nuclear bombing, the number of SCP-173 instances has been reduced. All available Foundation resources are to be redirected to monitoring the ocean to ensure the integrity of Containment Zone X1. Foundation adjuncts from national navies are to perform around-the-clock patrols and sonar sweeps. Detected instances are to be contained and removed to SCP-120 for transport to the lunar containment site.
Nice.
That's it? One of the staff members asks.
It's something.
That's it, the researcher replies. Several of those present begin to cry.
Sucks, but...
There's nothing more they can do.
Yeah.
Their homes, their friends, their families, all of them are gone. Killed either by the neck-wrenching sculptures or in the heat of a nuclear blast. Why? Why did they have to do it?
They dropped
One
the
of
ball.
the other staff, who appears
That's
to be
why.
a former site guard,
Could have just been a site.
That's all we could do, another argues. There's much disagreement in the small crowd. No matter how they feel, though, this was the official order from the O5 Council. Their word is law, especially in a world where all law and order outside of the Foundation has broken down. There really was no other option. All they can do now is hope that the sacrifice of 2 whole continents was enough to keep it contained, that SCP-173 is unable to cross the ocean to Europe, and that they remain safe on this side of the planet. The group grows quiet, mourning the loss of the world they once knew, when the silence is suddenly interrupted by someone running down the hall. It's another researcher, carrying his own piece of paper. He tries to push past the group towards the O5 Council's door, insisting that they let him through, that he has important news that can't wait. What is it? Demands the group. We deserve to know. The group wrestles the paper away from the junior researcher, and it is passed through the group to the same man who read the revised special containment procedures. He quickly reads the report. It's just a couple of lines, and his face goes white.
Uh-oh.
What is it? What does it say? Comes a question from the crowd. A message from the North Atlantic Navy General Command. Verified sighting of SCP-173 in the United Kingdom. Nuclear bombardment authorized and executed. No survivors. SCP-173
Oh my god.
has come for them.
This did not have to be this bad, bro. Like, honestly, it doesn't take a genius to figure this out. But maybe it does, who knows?
I hope you enjoyed this special exploration of the SCP Foundation tale SCP-173 revised entry. If you liked this, then be sure to watch the first SCP-001, the prototype. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to see more like this, and make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss a single anomaly as we delve further and further into the SCP Foundation's classified archives.
Uh-oh. What? Dr. Bob is the GOAT, bro! But anyway, this was fire, man. I'm surprised he came out with a video just like this. I really hope he does come out with more concepts where, like, you know, SCP is, like, multiplying or, like, you know, doing something crazy. Because this was really fun to watch, man. This was awesome. But, yo, God, the SCP Foundation was stupid in this episode, but it was comical to say the least. If you guys enjoyed this reaction, please remember to smash that like button for me, guys. Let's try to get 100 likes on this one. Also, smash that sub button, join the family. And if you're not already part of the family and you made it to this point, what are you doing, bro? Smash the sub button, quit playing games, quit playing with me, and have fun with the family. And hit that bell so you can stay plugged for each and every upload. Now, unfortunately, that concludes today's episode. However, I'll catch you guys on the next one.